Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames and messieurs, brothers and sisters, comrades, and fellow journeymen, welcome back to Then and Now, the show I do with James George Jatras, author of I Try to Warn You, available on Amazon, Kindle, all your fine, bestest, amazing booksellers out there in the world. Jim's back from Serbia. Missed you, Jim.
Oh, wait. I forgot something.
What?
I forgot something.
Yeah.
Can you hold on for 30 seconds?
We are holding for 30 seconds. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 3, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. Hey, like and subscribe to the show. Send us your super chats over on YouTube. We got a goal up there. We hit that goal. I'm going to do a power wash stream. I haven't done power wash in a while. So hit that goal. We'll do a little power wash and stream after show. And
I'm back from Serbia. I'm going full Chetnik. I'm going for the Voivoda look here. You know, I mean, not like I'm a real Voivoda, but I can play one on TV.
He's a Serbian Gojtnik. So
wait, I gotta put it straight though.
$10 from Kenneth Wells for the goal. Thank you so much, Kenneth. So, a few things while you're away, Jim.
Yep.
We'll get to your little Serbia trip in a second there, Jim. But we have a 28-point peace plan. Try to say that for 5 times fast. That's been proposed. Now it's down to, you said, 17, 19, 12, 11, who knows?
19 at last count.
19 at last count, but it's still early in the day over here in Australia, so who knows what we're going to have hit by noon. And, of course, the recent comments by Representative Joe Wilson about the Orthodox Church were all Russian spies, Jim. Didn't know if you knew. Well, we're here in Australia, here in Western Australia, of course, we're trading, apple growing tips, orchard secrets to the Russians. That's what we're up to these days. So
I think you were Chinese spies down there.
Hang on a second. We got to play this. Hang on, wait. Yeah, no. We don't have Chinese spies here in Australia. What are you talking about? That's only in Victoria. Yasha, put microfilm in spoon by Eucharist. Spoon it in. Don't pass on to Natasha.
Well, we're going to go from Miranchuk to Novichuk.
Boychuk. That's just going to be my new moniker. Boychuk. It says Boychuk over. Boychuk. Look, we'll go. It's good to varach, please. So, how's Serbia, Jim?
Great as always. I try to get there every year. I've got friends in Belgrade. Like to hang out at the Hotel Moskva. I mean, how many places have a Hotel Moskva, right? And just sit there drinking rakia and Serbian coffee and see who comes along. And then went to Montenegro, went to Ostrog Monastery, spoke at Matica Srpska in Nikšić, at the cathedral in Podgorica, aka Titograd. And then was short stops in Trebinje and Republika Srpska, and then over to Ragusa, aka Dubrovnik in what is now Croatia. And then did some beach time in Pakrac, which is on the Adriatic coast in Montenegro. A little chilly, but not too bad. in November.
Well, good, and you're back and you're safe, and that's always good.
Yep.
So let's get to the 28-point peace plan. I know you were just recently on Rachel Blevins speaking about this, and I've been watching. Duran's been talking about it, and everyone who talks about these things has been talking about it.
Right.
So much verbal ink has been spilled. I don't really want to spend too much time on it because I don't know really what more we can say other than what we've always said about this. Any proposed peace plan, it's not going to work. At best, Putin will get tricked into something. I think he's past that point now. I mean, if he accepts anything, it'll be for other reasons other than a peace plan. So there's that to consider. What I found a little bit interesting is Yushtikov, who's basically one of Putin's top aides, has made the comment, has publicly said that Russia is willing to negotiate this plan as it is.
Sure.
Which, yeah, we kick can down road. Please look how far can goes. It's very long road. Yeah. His road has been going on for 3 years now, or 11, depending on where you want to start counting. So Don Browning in the chat, good to see you, Don. So okay, so your initial thoughts. I know you've talked about this on Blevins and other places, but let's just do the thing. Let's
this as peace plans go, this lasted less than Liz Truss's prime ministership over in the United Kingdom. I mean, what was that head of lettuce thing rotting on the screen there?
Lettuce or cabbage? Well, yeah. it's Ukrainian, so we'll go with cabbage.
Yeah. I think in Liz Truss's case it was lettuce, but let us attend. In peas, let us attend. Here's the thing. The 28-point plan that apparently whose work it was exactly, we don't really know. We still don't know. They try to blame it on Kirill Dmitriev or Witkoff. It really doesn't matter who wrote the damn thing. Even that was barely passing the laugh test as something that could sucker the Russians in. You basically take a ceasefire proposal on it, stick lots of lipstick on it, and dare the Russians to not kiss it. And even the 28-point plan was barely within screaming distance. And look, I thought if Trump's goal was to say, fine, I can't get an agreement, I'm done with these guys, I'm going to walk away, you think the thing he would do is give the 28-point plan to the Russians, let the Ukrainians and the Europeans try to change it, and then say, no, I won't change it anymore. This is take it or leave it. And when they dump it, then he can say, fine, okay, I'm walking away. No more intelligence for you, et cetera, et cetera. Except he can't do that. I mean, a lot of people say that he's preparing to do that when this all collapses as it's collapsing before our eyes. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he can. I mean, a lot of people are saying this is Trump's way of walking away from the Ukraine debacle. He can't do that, or else he's going to have Kabul and the Biden humiliation on his hands, and that's the last thing he wants. I think if there's anything he wants to avoid, it's having a total collapse of the Ukrainian army and state on his watch, and he'll be blamed for it because he was talking to the damn Russians. So he can't afford that. So I think what's going to happen is he did modify the plan now down to 19 points. Let's work our way down to 0, and then it'll be more realistic. It's at 19 points now. Obviously, the Russians will, like you said, Rushikov said, oh, sure, we'll talk. But obviously, it's not going to go anywhere. I think the next thing is going to be, okay, Putin is being intransigent. He won't sign. We have to renew the sanctions. Let's talk about tomahawks some more. Wash, rinse, repeat. I mean, how many times do we have to see this stupid movie before everybody figures that, it's all for show?
Well, I mean, we can just do a war update. I've kind of lost track how many cities and towns that Russia's now taking. The war for Pokrovsk is essentially over. I know these things, we say this, and then someone goes, no, there's 2 Ukrainians hanging out in a basement somewhere in Pokrovsk. You're like, okay, fine. It's over. So Pokrovsk has been taken. Russia's been now moving into Zaporizhzhia pretty aggressively. I mean, the territory is being taken. It's like I said, I've stopped even really keeping track of it, town by town, because it's just they're gobbling up land pretty quickly. And this is winter, so if they're doing this kind of advances in winter, come spring, we've said this before, but again, it depends on what Russia wants to do, right? But at this point, at this kind of momentum, they could theoretically be in Kiev by May. So it's just a matter of what do they want to do. Speculations run wild, but
that's Jason. That's always been the question. Once the Russians figure out, assuming maybe they have, that there can be no negotiated end of this thing, and even if there were no negotiation, the other side's not going to keep their obligations anyway. Once they figure that out, and maybe they have, and they know it's going to have to be a purely military solution, what do they see? That I expect they probably have a couple of options that they're considering, and they haven't made a final decision. But I don't know. I mean, I think the only two options that make any sense are taking the whole country, except for the scraps in the far west, or taking half the country and leaving the rest of it as a rump state controlled by them through, Azarov or Medvedchuk or somebody they can, put in there as their Ahmed Chalabi to run the place for them, and then create like a second Belarus. That's the only thing that makes any sense from the Russian point of view. I don't know if they see it that way. I think maybe they still think that they can finesse whatever. Like, for example, to talk about a neutral Ukraine, I think that ship sailed a long time ago. I don't think that'll fly.
I mean, even the provision. Sorry, Jim. Even the provision to keep like 600,000 Ukrainian man army. First of all, Russia's never going to agree to that. Second of all, with who? With whom?
Yeah.
Where are these Ukrainians you're finding these people from?
Yeah.
So what? You're going to militarize every 16-year-old for the next how many generations? How is that going to work exactly? Oh, it's not cool. It's a nice number, right?
By the way, why did they recently?
Jews in their sixes.
Why did they recently change the law to liberalize the ability of 18 to 22-year-olds to leave the country? What kind of sense does that make?
Liquidate the country.
I guess. I mean, it's really turning into the 404 country.
Look, not to turn this into a Jay Dyer show, but we know that what's not being talked about is the Greater Israel Project, and the Greater Israel Project has been around for quite a long time, and basically it was Israel becoming the new, let's say, energy node in the Middle East up into the Mediterranean. Keep in mind, Israel originally was supposed to be in Crete or somewhere in Greece, and they said no, let's put it in Jerusalem. For historical reasons. Originally, the original Zionists want Greece. Yeah. Hey, apparently it doesn't matter, right? I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of Israel people are buying land in Greece, like
in Crete, and in Cyprus too. Yeah.
So this was always the play that Israel's going to take over this, basically Syria, Lebanon. Have more or less control in the Middle East region, co-sharing with Saudi Arabia, and then move all the way up.
Koshering?
I'm sorry?
Koshering?
Koshering, yes. It's very cool.
Also co-sharing. Sorry. Okay.
Just more of they were going to circumcise the Black Sea coast all the way up into Ukraine. Bagel, you're welcome. Poppy seeds, just a lot of poppy seeds all over the place. So that was the plan. The plan was to go right up into Kiev and Khazaria. What? Who? What? Oh, that maybe they were going to actually come out and go, no, Khazaria good, Khazaria homeland, Khazaria. We have this whole history that all those wingnats we're talking about, but we're going to sanctify it. Anyways, this has been the plan. And it happened to just coincide beautifully with the 2030 plan, the European 2030 plan, which was to essentially get rid of all the farmland in Europe and move it all over to Ukraine. So now,
are the Russians complicit in this through the Chabad organization?
Who knows? One thing that came up in the Meet the Blessed last night with Conrad Franz and Jonathan from Eschaton Vigil.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that.
Oh yeah, check it out. It was a good one.
Check it out.
One of the things we talked about on that show, and this again, I'm floating this out there. I'm not saying this is true. This is just we just speculated. Taking it from an Orthodox perspective, let's just say Putin actually is an Orthodox Christian and means it, right? And is getting direct and is trying to do something from an Orthodox frame.
Mm-hmm.
You plug that into the whole scenario, and then you start talking about Novorossiya and what that land would look like, and it then starts to maybe give us a little bit of explanation why Putin has been, let's say, using kid gloves in regions, right, where he's actually trying to do as little damage. Obviously, they're feeding him troops. They're going to meat grind the troops,
Sure.
but he's trying to do as little damage to the region as possible. So it's like win, but like don't do the Russian win, which would be obliterate everybody. So that's an interesting suppose, right? And it kind of gets us a little bit into the second half of the show when we're going to be talking about the attacks on the Orthodox Church, and Russian spies and Russian collusions and all that kind of stuff 2.0. But it's playing on me a little bit because I've introduced the idea that this is a human sacrifice ritual, and whether Putin knows it or not, or wants to be involved with it or not, he is. But there's also maybe the counterbalance where it's like Putin is trying to be as good of a Christian as he can be in this given situation. I don't know what you want to do with that.
I think
this is just speculation. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I even if you accept those speculations as a premise, I'm still not sure where it gets you operationally in terms of, okay, what do they do next? I mean, I guess I'm unwilling to base. What happened there? My screen blacked out. I'm unwilling to base a political calculation based on a speculation about all sorts of things we can't verify, and even if we could, we don't know how they would operate in people's minds. I guess I just keep coming back to the simple thing: what's the future of the Ukrainian state? And that is the question that the Russians need to answer. And I don't know what their answer is, or even if they have an answer.
Let's do a little bit of speculation, just based on their movements and based on what we've kind of covered before. Obviously, Odessa has got to play into the plans in some way, shape, or form, whether it becomes an autonomous state. I
would certainly think so, but I don't know that. I mean, I don't know that. Everything they do indicates that they don't intend to go to Odessa.
Well, they have been softening Odessa up for years now, right? They just haven't moved any troops in directly into Odessa, but they have been shelling Odessa. They have been doing some sort of they've been doing naval bombardments.
That doesn't mean they intend to do it. But that doesn't mean they intend to do anything. It may mean that that's more means of applying pedagogical pressure for the Ukrainians and their sponsors to meet their terms, which don't include Odessa. I mean, that's all it might mean.
I guess the question here really is, how much land is Russia? Let's not even do the want, right? Let's put the want away because we can't
intend. Let's say intend.
Right. Let's just say how much land would they have to take to effectively neutralize Ukraine anyways, right? Odessa would be a big one. If they take the entire Black Sea coast, then that neutralizes
at least,
right?
Yeah.
And then I would say moving up into Kiev, right? Because they have strong claims on Kiev, historical and otherwise, right? So if they move up to Kiev, and even if Kiev becomes a new Berlin or something stupid, that would be, I would say that would be a natural dividing line for them. And then you do a demilitarized zone past that, right? Like some sort of, maybe Kiev becomes a new international site, or I'm trying to think stupid. Like I'm trying to think.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, that scenario presumes that the part they don't take possession of remains NATO stand in some sense, that it becomes it still becomes enemy territory from the Russians' point of view. Are they willing to allow that? In other words, if they're going to actually accomplish their stated goals of demilitarization, denazification, they can't really allow that. They have to put some other entity there in place of an enemy, Banderistan or NATO stand that's opposed to Russia. And that's where this buffer zone concept has never made any sense to me, because, especially when they start talking in terms of the range of missiles. Well, if we take this, we'll need a buffer zone this big so we don't get missile attacks from there. Okay, fine, but as of that buffer zone, who rules there? And if it's you, well, then you need a buffer zone for that then too, don't you? So, where exactly do you draw the line, and who's on the other side of the line? Well,
Poland,
yeah, especially if you let Poland have Lvov, or Lvov, as they say.
I mean, Poland, there's an irony there, right? Polish solidarity was the big white horse, but Poland's always the dark horse in these scenarios, because it's like, right, especially now that they're being kind of built up as the new Germany in terms of industrial zone and economic zone and all the wonderful things people are saying about Poland. And I'm not taking anything away from them, but yeah, I wonder how that's going to eventually factor into this greater Israel thing, which I don't see going away. I could see it being reformatted. I could see it being rejiggered in some way, but I don't see it going away. And Jimmy, to your point too, right? People talk about what Trump can do and can't do, and even if Trump really, really wanted to do things, there's things that are already been set in motion. Biden made sure that, the Biden administration made sure of that. The auto pen made sure of that. That there's funding for Ukraine all the way into like 2030 or 2035 or something like that. So Trump's ability to just cut off funding is pretty limited. One thing he could do, though, is cut off intelligence. Now, I don't know how much leverage he has to be able to do that, but he could cut off, for example, Starlink. Starlink. Thank you. Yeah, he could cut off Starlink, right? Because that's just a call to Elon.
I think that's probably right. I mean, if he can do it with a call to Elon, yeah, I could see that. If he has to do it through the channels of the U.S. government, I'm not sure he could do it.
Right.
Because I don't think he knows enough work.
Oh, we lost Jim there. Sorry, but Jim. Yeah, say again. Sorry, you don't know if he knows how these things work.
I don't think he knows how that stuff works. I don't think he knows how government agencies work. I don't think he knows how to actually make an order that he gives to the bureaucracy actually get carried out through the bureaucratic channels. I mean, he didn't need to know all those details, but he needs to have reliable people who do. And I'm not sure he does. Who's going to make it happen? Marco Rubio? Pete Hegseth? I don't think so.
Well, it calls into question whose alliance those guys are in with, anyways, right? I mean, with the initial release of the 28 plan, the leak of the 28 plan, or something like that, the initial cover was that Rubio didn't know anything about it, which I thought was really interesting. Like, why would you even say that? Like, just don't say anything if you're going to have to say something, because it doesn't look good to say that the guy who's in charge of all these things, kind of, or the buck stops at Rubio's door, didn't know things. Like, I never understood that when they do that with Trump too. Like, Trump doesn't know something. It's like, I mean, I'm not saying when you say it or someone else, the commentator says. I'm saying like when someone in his team or someone who's supposed to be close to Trump and speaking for the administration on some level is like basically saying that Trump is ignorant on X, Y, Z. I'm like, that's not a good one, right?
Well, sometimes you want to give the big man plausible deniability. So you can say certain things happened and he didn't know about it. And, it was a rogue operation or somebody misunderstood instructions, blah, 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 whatever it was. But in the case of Rubio, my friend Daniel McAdams just published something recently on the Ron Paul site. It looks like Rubio didn't stay on the back foot for long. He may have been cut out of the action, but he certainly managed to get himself back into it and take control of the situation, because apparently it's his baby that turned the 28 plan into the 19-point European Zelensky plan now. So, I think again, how many cycles of this have we been through where all the usual suspects get all hopiumed up about, peace is coming around the corner, the two men are going to cut a big deal, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes the predictable route.
Historic.
Historic. It's like Napoleon and Alexander the First meeting on the raft in the whatever river that was, the two emperors carving up Europe. Not really.
I remember Alaska. Historic.
Historic.
Oh, historic.
Yeah, more like hysteric.
Okay, let's just again we'll do some open speculation.
We live in historic times.
The always the big question is why now? Right now we know that Russia's winning the battlefield, so that's obviously a big push for it, right? Because the initial peace plan read just like I think maybe you said this or someone said it looked like a napkin note of a peace deal. It didn't read serious, and then no talking head who's been following this for any length of time took this seriously either. Everyone was like, "What is this?" And then, but there's always this push, right? It's always like, why now? Why not until January? Or is this just a distraction? Is this just like a headline grab so that now the heat goes off of the Epstein files and all this other stuff and goes back to Russia, Ukraine, and when that's kind of fizzles out, they're going to move back to Israel, Gaza, or Israel, Iran, or who knows what, right? It just seems like we're caught in this cycle. And look, one thing we can say about Trump is this: he's very, very good at grabbing headlines, intentionally or unintentionally. He's very, very good with the media, or his team is. And certainly they're trying to deflect from some of his bad press. His ratings are down, and his poll numbers or whatever those are worth are down a bit. So is this? What do you think? Is this just sort of just empty deflection? Because it kind of feels like that.
I think he's got some time pressure on him coming from completely other directions. Maybe it's partly Venezuela. Maybe it's partly the kind of stuff we were talking about a couple of weeks ago with Tom Luongo about what's going on in the financial system of the world, that if there's some kind of again, this stuff a lot better than I do, but if there's some kind of a financial tsunami heading in our direction in the not too distant future, maybe he's trying to get this thing off his plate, and he's feeling some degree of desperation to clear it out before then. Ain't going to happen. Whatever peace plan people might have thought might snatch victory from the jaw. I don't think that's happening. So whatever his desperation is not going to be alleviated. But I think there's something else out there that he's looking at some date on the calendar, and some like December 15th or January 15th, and say, I got to get this thing off my plate before then, because when that thing hits, I can't be sitting in the middle of a Kabul situation in Kiev.
Yeah, well, because all his leverage gets taken away then too, right?
Yeah,
because he's got his proverbial ass out in the wind in Ukraine, and it gets pretty cold in winter. You don't want your ass out there. So
I hear, especially with the electricity.
That's what it feels like. I mean, look, December 16th, right? December 16th is going to be a red letter day for the internet, because that's when these child protection, digital online protection, depends on where you are, depends on what they're calling it, both in the UK, Australia, many places in Europe, it's being rolled out. It's being rolled out on YouTube and many other places where now they're going to be doing some sort of... Essentially, it's that now, we'll go for the UK plan, and the Australian plan is essentially the same thing. They've now... are basically forcing, right, certain platforms, X, YouTube, Facebook, there's a few other places too, WhatsApp, and a few other bigger names, platforms, to comply with this Online Child Safeties Act. And again, this might differ in which country you're at. I think Canada's rolling out one as well, and so on and so forth. Essentially, it's this, that there's a social media ban or controls for everyone who's under the age of 15. Under the age of 16. So 15 and under, they won't be able to access certain sites without some sort of age verification or using a special portal or etc. What I find very interesting, at least in the UK plan, and I believe the Australia plan is the same way, is that video game platforms, so like Twitch and Kick, platforms that just primarily do video game content, they're exempt from this, but everywhere else has to comply. And basically, it's an idea that kids are getting hooked on social media and committing S-side and self-deleting and all this.
Well, of course, on X, there's obviously some material that's totally unsuitable for children. But I guess
Sure.
the question is, how do they know it's a 15-year-old or under logging on?
Well, this is the interesting thing. So, at least with YouTube, and I'm assuming this
Mhm.
works for all the
Right.
platforms, but at least with
Right.
YouTube is this. YouTube is now going to have a separate AI that's going to do checking on the stuff you're watching. And if it detects the stuff you're watching kind of flags you as someone who's under the age of 15, then you have to verify your age and give your all your ID and all that kind of stuff to continue using the site.
What? What if you're an adult who likes cartoons?
No, I know. Let it sink in, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you just what if you're a 65-year-old who just likes watching video game content or stuff about
Yeah. Yeah.
cartoons or
Whatever.
who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gonna better show your ID.
This sounds pretty goofy.
Well, I mean, on top of all that, we don't even know if this is just not going to break the internet or break these platforms. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now you're putting on top of this extra AI protection.
Yeah.
That's been pretty rushed through. Like this has all been designed and pushed through officially, right? Who knows how long it's been cooking in the back, but officially this is all being rolled out within essentially 6 months. Let's say a year. We'll give it a year, but it's because this has been talked about for a year. But here in Australia, I think the bill got passed approximately 6 months ago, and from that time to this time is where it's being rolled out.
And you said this is
Who knows?
EU as well.
I'd have to go down. I can do a check right now, but I know it's coming through Britain and Australia, the two big countries that are now mandating this legally. And there's other places, like I know Canada has a version of this. I'm not sure if it's the exact same plan or something essentially similar. I would assume every single Commonwealth country, or let's say the Five Eyes, is going to have some version of this at some point. America maybe withstanding because of Special Case America, but pretty much everyone else is going to have something like this.
Yeah,
within very soon. Test cases, and then we'll see if it just breaks the internet. I mean, essentially what Europe's been doing is they've been playing footsie with this kind of stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
By doing the European Online Safeties Act in terms of what could be shown and what's copyright, and Germans, you can't have any kind of material from the 1940s or 1930s Germany because it might offend somebody in Germany, so you can't have any of that showing. And that's why everyone has to talk about Mustache Man and all that stuff, because Germany will go, nice, schnell. They said the thing. They reminded us of the bad times. What are you talking about? Showers? No, you've mentioned shower 5 times. Into the camp you go. Zyklon, no, yet. Anyways,
you do that very well.
Well,
suspiciously well.
I practice in the mirror over here, Jim. It was mirror over there. Yeah.
How big is your dog? My dog is this big. How big is this big?
To the east.
So. No. Klick, you go to the Russian front. No, not the Russian front. General Burkhalter, not the Russian front.
So anyways, that's happening. And that feels a little bit coordinated. Like, why now? Why the big rush? What's happening? And of course, now the big news, and I haven't seen any updates about the conversation. It was supposed to happen yesterday. It's whatever time, but the new prime minister of Japan is making a big giant call with President Trump. As we've been detailing, Japan is the epicenter of this bond market, euro dollar, offshore dollar, whatever you want to call it, fiasco that's brewing, and the Japanese markets are still climbing. Their 10-year yield is now hit around 3 points, which is, I mean, you have to everything within context, right? So it went from 0 to 3 in a year. It's pretty devastating. So they're both their bond yields and their currencies. Their bond yields are up. Their currency is down. Something's going to have to happen.
Which country is going to crack first?
It's looking like Japan, but There's a few other people. There's a
And
few
then
other countries to consider.
and then how does that cause a cascade effect?
Primarily, it's this. If you look at the Japanese market,
Mm-hmm.
Japan has now moved from number 1 to number 2, largest holders of U.S. Treasuries in the world. Number 1 now is Italy. You'd think Germany, but it's actually Italy now.
Interesting.
Because Japan is now having to start to sell off U.S. Treasuries. They've just sold off about $1 trillion
What about the
in the last.
Chinese? Have they dumped most of theirs? Have the Chinese dumped most of theirs?
The Chinese, it's really hard to know what the Chinese are doing.
They're
Because
inscrutable.
China, yeah, that Iron Curtain is very thick. So
Mhm.
I've been trying to follow the Chinese markets. It's very confusing. The numbers are all over the place because the
Mhm.
Chinese don't usually give you accurate numbers, and they have different mechanisms over there as well. But in Japan, because of the Marshall Plan, they're now having to sell off treasuries like crazy because to keep their currency from collapsing. Their debt to GDP ratio is disgustingly large. It's over 200%,
Oh, geez.
and the yen keeps falling. So, in order to stabilize the economy, they're going to have to start selling off treasuries. And they've been trying to kick that can down the road as far as
Mhm.
possible. Now they can't kick it anymore, so now they're selling off treasuries, and that's your cascade. Because then, if that
Mhm.
pushes the U.S., if that starts pushing the U.S. Treasuries up, and you
Mhm.
don't have, even with massive rate cuts, the domino effect is this: it's not just the U.S. Treasuries are tied to debt. That's one aspect of
Mhm.
everything,
Mhm.
and your buying power of the dollar, which is another
Mhm.
big concern. But the big thing is all the things that are attached to the 10, 20, and especially the 30-year yields.
Mhm.
The 30-year yields are what your insurance and your retirement
Mhm.
funds and all those things are tied to. So if those rates go up, then
Mhm.
all of a sudden everything else goes up dramatically. And
Mhm.
we're talking like all insurance everywhere for everything. Just goes because it has to adjust. And usually it's in that
Mhm.
adjustment that things go crazy. Uh, the big example is in 2018. There was two of these, but in 2018 was, I think, the recent one. The British gilt market, something like this happened, where they had to do an adjustment on their retirement fund packages. I think it was through government retirements. There was an adjustment rate uh, uh, adjustments, or a rate adjustment, and that shaved off something like 2 or 3 trillion pounds off the British economy, like
Mhm.
overnight. And they had to freak out. Right? Like
Mhm.
Liz Truss, remember the whole Liz Truss thing? One of the things that she got done for, because she was kicking up a fuss about having to basically she was bailing out the British the Bank of England to the
Mhm.
tune of something like £1 billion or so pounds a, a day for about
Oh,
three
wow.
weeks. Yeah. Mm. And that was back in 2021, right? So this has been going on for a bit, and a lot of the British bond markets and stuff that are tied directly to Project Ukraine. So as Project Ukraine
Hmm.
wraps up one way or the other, then the question is, how do they keep this thing going? And I don't think I think they're out
Do
of
you,
options.
do you think they're going to? Well, the other option is finally get their act together on stealing the Russian assets. Apparently, Brussels, Belgium, has been blocking that. Do you think they're going to finally go through with it? I don't see that they have any other options.
Well, who was it? Euroclear was advising
Yeah,
against it.
I know. A
Now
lot of people advise
they're advising.
against
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah.
It's just for people to understand what we're talking
Yeah,
about. So
yeah.
Russia, of course, has assets been frozen since the start of
Right.
the special
Like what?
military
300
operation.
billion or so, I think.
Approximately, and this is not even talking about
Yeah.
assets like the super yachts they seized and
Yeah.
whatever of that. I think if you start doing uh, complete calculations, you could be up to probably about almost $1 trillion, right?
Wow. Okay. Well,
Um,
well,
because it's
some of that is Russian sovereign money, and some of
yeah.
it's probably yeah,
Yeah, if you start doing the assets and buildings and
yeah.
actual hard currency and all the
hmm
other stuff,
Yeah.
you're probably getting pretty close to $1 trillion.
Wow.
So, uh, so there's this idea that they're going to seize this money and redistribute it to
Right.
people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the alarm of this, of course, is that if they do that, then every single other major country who has money in Europe is going to go yoink, especially like someone like China, because it's like, okay, so let me get it straight.
Or Saudi Arabia, yeah,
or Saudi Arabia, right? Because it's like, so you're telling me if we become enemy number one, you just going to seize our assets and do what with them? No. So that's why Euroclear and a few other of these other financial institutions are basically saying, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because if China and Saudi Arabia start yanking their money out of European banks or financial institutions, that's it. Like, sayonara to those financial institutions. It's going to basically make 2008 look like a walk in the park.
Yeah. So you think they won't do it? I'm kind of inclined to think eventually they will, because they don't have anything else. I mean, they're already stealing the interest on some of these assets anyway. But
who's to say they haven't already done it, Jim?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And when they look at all their options to keep supporting Ukraine, there's not going to be much money coming from the United States. The Europeans don't have that much money, but there's this big pot of Russian money sitting there that it's got to look awful tempting.
I think they've already taken it. Okay.
Well, then what's all the fuss about?
Well, the fuss about it will be at the end of the war, whenever that is. I'm sure Russia will be like, give us our money, please. And
no. But I mean, if the concern is not the Chinese or whoever it is pulling their money out, if they've already taken it, why haven't the Chinese done that then?
Oh, I mean, I'm saying that I think that officially, formally, they haven't, but informally they have. Right.
I see.
Okay. I'm just saying that eventually, when the Russians go, money, rubles, please, and they go, and they open up the vault, there's going to be like a moth flying out of
money? Oh, okay, I see.
Oh, yeah. At which point they're going to have to come up with X billions of dollars, which they don't have. Or they can print it, but then that puts them further into desperation. Call the IMF,
Yeah. I thought the last refuge of thieves was special drawing rights, whatever the hell those are, and that they've already exhausted all the other. Yeah, I don't even know what those are. Something to do with the IMF. It's some other kind of fake asset you can conjure out of thin air.
I'll look into it. My knowledge of how the IMF, I know I know how it works in terms of what they do to countries. Like I've followed the Greece situation and all that kind of stuff.
What exactly is Euroclear though? It's not itself a financial institution, is it?
Let's just pull it up so I don't misquote. From my understanding, Euroclear, Euroclear most commonly refers to Euroclear Group, a global financial services company that provides post-trade settlement and custody services for securities. It facilitates the clearing and settlement of transactions for various assets, such as bonds, equities, and funds, in a safe and efficient manner. Another less common meaning refers to an international central securities depository. A global financial market infrastructure group headquartered in Brussels, Belgium. So I'm trying to remember there's a North American corollary to that one.
Oh, it's something in Bank of Settlement, something Bank of Settlements or something like that. It's sort of like when you go when you buy a house and there's an entity that does all the transaction that makes all the money flow into the right accounts. Or something like that. I forget what that thing is called.
Ken is saying ignore the AI slop and go to the website. No, but I knew that's essentially what Euroclear is all about. It's one of these financial groups that comes that no one knows exists until something like this happens, and all of a sudden everyone talks about it as if like, oh well, Euroclear. You're like, who?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
and it's like, oh, this massive. They're holding like $1 trillion. There was a Canadian one recently. That someone mentioned. I had to look up because apparently Carney's made something like 17 deals with this group. It's not Berkshire. I'll find it for a future episode. We'll dig into what Carney's doing, but essentially it's one of these groups that all of a sudden you're like, who are these people? And you find out that they were a Brazilian investment group up until like 1945, and then they just turned into this massive investment group out of nowhere. And you're like, who are these people? And they're like, oh, well, they're holding $1 trillion in assets, mostly retirement funds. And you're like, huh? And it's like, oh, this is the derivatives market. All these massive companies are basically set up to manage the 4 quadrillion trillion whatever spooky stupid number like infinity money system that's set up through derivatives, and that's the bond market. Like this was the thing that tipped me off last year when I was talking to certain people like Tom and so on, is that you look at the bond market and go, okay, well the bond market, I mean, it's big, it's trillions of dollars, but I mean, why is everyone freaking out? And then you look into the derivatives market and you go, this is an unknowable number now, because they're doing funny stuff like buying and selling the same bond multiple times.
Right.
So it's like, who owns it? Who knows? How much is the bond worth? Oh, this much. Well, we bought a bridge with it. What are you talking about? And it's just money. It's just numbers. That eventually have to get paid, and or they belong somewhere, right? And who knows? So that's the we've been talking a lot about like the feeling of urgency I feel coming from all these sides, I think has a lot to do with that. Because
here's your financial trivia question for the day. Bank of America. What was its original name?
Bank of Americas?
No.
Banco Americo.
You're getting warmer. Bank of Italy.
Bank of Italy. Huh.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. What is this? Harry said Brookfield Asset Management. That's the one.
Oh, there you go.
Brookfield Asset Management.
That sounds very,
right?
very white, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I know.
Very waspy.
Yeah, hang on. Asset management. Now, this is an interesting one because I fell down this rabbit hole. Brookfield Asset Management Incorporated. Let's just pull this up for a second because they're everywhere. Now they're big in Australia as well.
Really?
Yeah. We'll just go to Wikipedia. I know Wikipedia. Give me a break here, folks. Let's show this screen. So this is another one, right? Now, Prime Minister Carney has made a number of deals with Brookfield. Essentially, I think selling Canadian assets up to them. But Brookfield Corporation is a Canadian multinational company that is one of the world's largest alternative investment management companies. What does that mean? It has over $1 trillion US.
Wait. Skip down to where it says predecessor companies, Edper Investments. In 1959, Edper Investments, founded by the brothers Peter and Edward Bronfman, acquired Brazilian traction light and power company for $15 million.
Oh, the Bronfmans.
Oh, the Bronfmans.
Oh, the Bronfmans.
Say no more. Say no more. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
There's Likud. What? Who are we talking about? Crazy. So yeah, they're sitting on $1 trillion in US $1 trillion in assets under management, which is just another funny way of saying like they just own a lot of stuff. Much of it is workers' deferred income from global public pension funds. Now that's the interesting term. Much of which is workers' deferred income from global public pension funds. So they're basically just holding interest. And dealing with the interest. And they have like, they said most. So let's just say $500 billion in interest payments. Like nothing. It's the nothing number, right? It's the nothing dollars.
Yeah.
The number that only exists on a screen. It focuses on direct control investments in real estate, renewable power, infrastructure, credit, and private equity. And of course, remember that Trump did sign one of the interesting things Trump did was sign a bill that allows private equity groups to get directly involved in insurance and retirement funds, which is something they couldn't do up until this year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Bronfmans, they started out as it was founded in 1899 as the Sao Paulo Tramway Light and Power Company by William Mackenzie, interesting Canadian name, and Frederick Stark Pearson. So it basically was a big giant. It was a big giant in Brazil for a long time, and then gets bought up. In the 1970s, they start to transition, and by 1992, they're bought up by the Bronfmans. Or sorry, 1959, they're bought up by the Bronfmans, and interesting, huh? Have you ever heard of them before?
Nope. I wish I hadn't.
Right? You'd think that a company just sitting out there in the open with $1 trillion in U.S. in assets, like international assets, both Canadian and American, and who knows where. You think that they would have come up before at least once.
No,
like nothing.
I never heard of them, and I wish the pleasure had been indefinitely postponed.
Right. Well, this is who Carney's making a lot of deals with. He was asked recently. He's like, "Have you talked to Trump recently?" He's like, "Who cares?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" That's something that the Australian Prime Minister could say and get away with, because like Australia, fine, okay. Even then, it'd still be like, but fine. But the Prime Minister of Canada, Canada.
You mean the governor
right above it?
You mean the governor of our 51st state?
Right. Yes, he's just a placeholder. He's keeping the place warm for you. So yeah. Anyways, 2026 is going to be a fun year, Jim. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm so here for this. Because it's going to get. I predict that at some point in 2026, we're just going to be sitting back, smoking cojillas, going, try to warn you. I mean,
I try to warn you. Hey, that's a great title for a book,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I just happen to have it right here. Go buy your copy. All right, let's do the transition.
Okay.
You and Father John Whiteford.
I am ready.
What is it? Says, "Who cares?" is going viral. So, something, there are times when I get really proud. Maybe proud is the wrong word for these things, but very, my chest comes out a little bit for being an Orthodox Christian in training, because you see these kind of stories show up, and then you see the response, and the response is what makes you proud to be try to be an Ortho bro, So what happened was Joe Wilson came out with a statement, and the statement essentially, I'm just trying to see if I have the exact statement from Joe Wilson, although maybe you can fill us in, Jim, because you were right on this as well. But essentially, he was calling out, saying that the Russian Orthodox Church, the ROKOR, the Orthodox Church of America, the Serbian Church, which I found interesting, or how important, what the Serbians do, and was there another one? I think maybe I'm missing someone. Anyways, he called them all out and saying that they've been infiltrated.
Sorry, well, they were talking about that delegation that was on Capitol Hill,
right? That
saw Representative Luna and some of the other people up there. It involved Catherine Whiteford from Young Republicans. There was an article about it. I'm trying to think, did the article come first or did Joe Wilson come first? I think
I was aware of the article first, but then the Joe Wilson comment came out time zone, so like the next day.
Yeah, I think that the article triggered Wilson's letter, and then now, as of today, there's another letter from Wilson and two other congressmen whose names I can't remember, I think to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, asking for an investigation specifically into ROKOR and I believe the MP parishes in the United States.
I have a good article on this. I think Pam Bondi's name is getting involved in this now as well, right?
Well, she's the recipient of the letter from these congressmen. I don't know if there's anything from her. I mean, I think the letter was just sent today or yesterday, saying that she should look into these nefarious organizations and launch an investigation. So there's 2 other congressmen who are joining Joe Wilson on this thing.
Let's just show it here. This is the article that I was sent from the Robert Lansing Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual front lines, Moscow's use of Orthodox structures for political intelligence operations in the U.S. Hey, where we've heard this one before. Excuse me. Russia is actively using Russian Orthodox Church, ROC, to influence the United States. A group of Republican members of the U.S. House of Representatives has appealed to Attorney General Pam Bondi, urging an investigation into the use of the Orthodox churches in the United States by Russian intelligence services. The initiative came from Congressman Joe Wilson. The lawmakers believe that the Kremlin-controlled Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia.
Right there. I mean, just stop there.
Yep.
The Kremlin-controlled Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia. I mean, that's just a flat lie. I mean, who wrote this stinking article anyway? I mean, the degree of autonomy of ROKOR from the Moscow Patriarchate is almost absolute. I mean, there's very little control even the Patriarchate has with respect to ROKOR, much less the Kremlin. I mean, this is just. Right. I mean, this is just stupid. I mean, I would call it slander. Except it's, it's just dumb.
Well, yeah. And
who wrote the article? Is there a byline on the article?
I don't see a byline. Let me just see if it's just something at the very bottom. No. I mean, this is...
There's a
long one. Yeah.
Wait.
Well, hang on.
Look, it looks like...
Let me just see. Oh, they've done their
you got to send me this.
They've done their work.
Great.
Yeah, I just got sent this yesterday late, so no name on this. But this is from the Robert Lansing Institute. So this is also the fine publication that's talking about
Center for Nationalism Studies. What the hell?
Yeah, Robert Lansing Institute, the global threats and democracy studies.
Okay, and now that thing has got to be funded one way or another by tax dollars. In other words,
hang on a second. This is the wonderful think tank publication that has come out with recent posts. The 28-point Mirage, a critical assessment. Critical is a very important word here. The critical assessment of the peace plan to end the Russia-Ukraine war through the lens of Senator Lindsey Graham. So we could print this out and use it as toilet paper. Just I would be afraid of cutting my arse. So lawmakers believe the Kremlin-controlled Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia is actively seeking to expand its political influence in the United States. Similar concerns are being raised regarding Moscow's use of other Orthodox jurisdictions operating in the U.S. Specifically, the concern relates to an event invoking the arrival of priests from the Russian Orthodox Church in Washington for meetings with representatives of the White House, of a faith-based and neighborhood partnership State Department officials and congressional lobbyists. The congressman behind the letter warned the clergy and lobbyists tied to the ROC may serve as instruments of foreign influence or even intelligence gathering. The legislators describe these actions as serious and state that there are reasonable suspicion of such operations being carried out. So I could keep reading down, or you want to get to here we go. How the ROC operates as an intelligence cover network. Clergy as covered personnel. Priests with diplomatic immunity or semi-diplomatic status can travel freely, meet officials, and are rarely scrutinized. Use of confession, pastoral counseling, and charitable networks as non-transparent channels to gather sensitive personal and political information. ROC is an FSB SVR logistics platform. Moscow Patriarch's Department for External Church Relations, DECR, has a long history of working closely with Russian intelligence and church-linked NGOs, serving as influence operation hubs. Foundations promoting traditional values often overlap with FSB and SVR networks. Want to keep going?
Do you know who funds the Robert Lansing Institute?
No, tell me.
Qatar. What kind of sense does that make? This is all weirdly weird. Send me that article. That's quite. I mean, this is a very substantial. Obviously, this organization has a lot of money and does a lot of issues, a lot of papers. I had heard it from it before, but clearly they're very well funded.
I've heard of them before. Maybe I've even read something from them before.
Mm-hmm.
These kind of things, generally speaking, this is what you. So, just for people who don't know media a little bit, these are the kind of things that will get sent out to newspapers.
Yeah.
So these are basically media packages. This is why it's written this way. Very bulletin point press points, and they'll send this to newspapers, and then that gets distributed to the editors.
And that provides the nut paragraphs where
right.
you describe where what the terms really mean and what the actors are and who they are. That's the real meat of the thing.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, if this was sort of a traditional think tank piece, it would be written more scholastically. It would be written more for an academic kind of in a more essay style. The fact that it's bulletin points means this is being circulated to media. So expect to see a lot of these talking points just show up. Like you'll be able to find, you know, if anyone sends me something in the future from who knows, like New York Times, right? And if you take the New York Times report and then you take this and you start to map it, you're going to find 1-to-1 ratios, like maybe some alterations. In many cases, it'll be just copy paste.
By the way, the plot thickens. There was, you know, who the archons of the ecumenical patriarchate are.
We just talked about this a little bit last night, but yeah, please let people know.
Yeah, because they're a group of mostly, you know, wealthy Greek Americans, businessmen, most of them pretty good guys, by the way. I mean, they're mostly doing parish work and things like that. But they follow the political line coming from the Fanar right down the line. And they issued a letter 2 or 3 days ago about, you know, denouncing basically, you know, people who were on the Capitol Hill, you know, talking about the persecution of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church and saying, oh, no, it's the other way around. The Ukrainian Orthodox Church is just a splinter group from the canonical church, which is the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, created by the FANAR and the State Department. And they're the ones, it's the Ukrainian Orthodox Church who are engaging in violence and terrorizing the faithful. I mean, it's just leave the phone in your car when you confess. Off is no longer off. That's probably very wise advice.
Well, Kenneth is a software engineer. He's saying here, Kenneth is a software engineer who does factory line testing software. Suspended to RAM is the best case scenario for off.
What's suspend to RAM?
Basically, you'd have to almost like turn the memory off in your phone. You know, like you have to like.
How do you do that?
You can't just like. Well, if you have to be a software engineer,
okay.
Just basically like the average person, you turn this thing off and you think it's off, black screen, all this stuff. It's not off. It's still taking in your data. So, yeah. I mean, we've talked a little bit about this too. I can keep reading down these, trying to find some more bulletin points here.
No, I think we get the picture. I think we also need to look at where this. You know, I mentioned the thing from the archons. Although there has been some pushback on that archons letter from the Antiochians, the Serbs, and even that Elpidophoros, the Archbishop of the Greek Archdiocese, issued some kind of a statement distancing himself from, to the extent to which they're trying to set the cat among the pigeons in the Orthodox community in the United States and set us against one another based on jurisdiction. I'm not sure that's necessarily going to work. I mean, I think there's been some degree of Orthodox rallying to the faith. So, really that I think people are smart enough to understand they may be trying to, cherry pick and go after ROCOR today, but it won't be just ROCOR. And I think this is counterproductive.
Luckily, bitter white pills, right? The Orthodox Church in many of these countries, and of course all the post-Soviets, but even in Greece, have been used to being subjugated. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
mildly. So when they see something like this and they go, oh, because I've seen some reports of like, I think Wilson tried to clarify saying like, I'm not attacking all of Orthodoxy, just these guys, right? And the response overwhelmingly, and he just got mogged online. It was the first two responses I saw was from you and Father John Whiteford, and then just a cascade of everyone going, "What are you talking about?"
From all the jurisdictions, yeah.
Everyone I could see, yeah.
The Greeks,
and I think it's because
everybody, yeah,
because they realized that, hey, just as you said, sure, today is today in Russia, tomorrow in America, right? Or today it's Rokor, tomorrow it's the Antiochians, and so on and so forth. So no one's fallen for this that well. The interesting part, though, of course, it was kind of tied into this a little bit, is Bartholomew meeting with the Pope, getting very chummy.
Yeah.
We just had the Pope send a missive where he quoted the Nicene Creed without the Filioque. Everyone got very excited for all the reasons. So things are moving, definitely. And I think the people who suspect that there is going to be at least an attempt to create some sort of massive schisms within the Orthodoxy. That's coming. And the fact that
I saw there was talk about reopening the ecumenical patriarchate. It's the seminary in Istanbul, the Halki seminary that's been closed 70 or 71, something like that. That looks like that may happen, and that would be attributed to this ecumenical outreach. The Erdogan's going to do a favor for Pope Leo and stuff like that. I think there are a lot of things happening.
Which brings it back to Turkey. Just get back around to geopolitics, because Turkey's the other thing that no one's talking about. But Turkey's involvement now in Serbia, in Syria, and they're fighting over there. It's not looking good for the Turks. Like the Turks are not. From let's spin this narrative. I think the idea was the Turks were going to be the guarantors of Serbian energy flowing into Europe. That was going to be the screw you, Russia. We'll get our energy from Serbia and all the rest of it. Syria. Sorry, got Serbia on my brain. And that's just not working out at all. So because now you have power vacuums opening all over the place, and Turkey still hasn't been able to really secure the oil fields.
And you also have a looming pipelines, really. And you have a looming confrontation between Israel and Turkey. I mean, somebody likened the way the Turks and basically the Turks and the Israelis have a common front. I mean, they're basically somebody likened this to the Nazi Soviet pact. Once Poland's gone and they have a common border, something's likely to go wrong. That's a peace that's not likely to last for very long. I mean, right now, Jolani, everybody's favorite Al-Qaeda guy, including, by the way, Joe Wilson, the congressman who sent this letter. They got a picture with him meeting with Mr. Al-Qaeda from Syria in his office. You want to hope that these people are simply ignorant, but I don't think it's the case. I think they're just corrupt.
No.
And in any case, Jolani is sort of the middleman between Erdogan on one side and the Israelis on the other, and the Americans on yet the third side. I don't think that balancing act can last all that long.
Well, who do you think is funding ISIS now, or post ISIS? Is it still a CIA cutout? Is this coming up from Saudi Arabia? Because obviously the Saudis got to be involved.
As far as I know, Jolani was with ISIS for a while, but ISIS itself is an Al Qaeda offshoot. So
which is,
as far as I know, that's always been a CIA operation. But remember, the Kurds have always been a Pentagon client. In fact, during the war against Assad, there were even sharp clashes between our Al Qaeda CIA guys and our Pentagon Kurdish guys, and also the Kurdish guys making an appeal to Erdogan, the Kurdish guy in Syria, to go meet with Öcalan, the guy who's with the head of the PKK, who's been in jail for how many decades now in Turkey, since basically the Greeks betrayed him to the Turks. So you get a lot of moving parts here.
Well, that puts that puts Israel's moves, like all these Israel peoples buying up land in Greece, is also really interesting because
And
that's a
Cyprus,
collision
yeah.
course with Turkey.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, Turkey has said repeatedly that their plan is to include Cyprus. Like
Yeah.
under
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
they're not going to give up Cyprus. Their aim is to fully control Cyprus and probably Crete along with it.
In fact, I saw
whether
something
directly or indirectly.
that's I saw something too that apparently Zelensky owns a pretty substantial property in the Turkish occupied area of northern Cyprus. I forget what kind of thing he owns there, but it's apparently something worth several $1,000,000 of his.
Well,
He's got his ill-gotten gains squirreled around the world here and there.
funny enough, right? Because we didn't even talk about this because it's kind of old news now. But we had the corruption scandals that rocked Ukraine and the Ukrainian government. And a lot of guys are the rats are banding ship. There's been a big, massive scattering of Zelensky's political associates, and the common the scuttlebutt, anyways, because you confirmed this somehow, please, but that they bought up a lot of property in the Mediterranean.
Yeah,
including probably Turkey and Greece.
Israel. One guy named Zuckerman, Alexander Zuckerman, and then there's also Timur Mindic, who's not Jewish. He's a Tatar. He's a Muslim, but he went to Israel anyway. And then, well, what the heck? It's one circumcision is like another, right? I guess it's who cares?
You got enough money, you're circumcised.
Hey, it turns out I'm not really a Tatar after all.
Put him on a chair. Put him on a chair. Hoist him around. It's okay. It's fine. One tiny hat's a good. What is it? A doily? Fine. Don't worry about it.
In fact, I just saw an article. I mean, apropos nothing, of a group of people from northern India who previously were Christians, and they speak a Sino-Tibetan language. And a few years ago, they discovered, actually, we're Jews, and they've been approved by the rabbis to actually be considered Jews and move to Israel. Several thousand of them. I mean, go figure. I mean, I don't. You can't make this stuff up.
Complete side quest, right? Did we cover this? I think we talked about this, right? How if you looked at the Israeli birth rates, the only group that has above replacement birth rates, I hate using the term, but whatever, are the Hasidim, and I mean most of them are inbred anyway. So it's like, they're having kids, but they're having kids with their cousins. So seems to be a thing in the Middle East.
First cousins.
Why would you want a second cousin, Jim? I want the prime cousin. It's a prime cut of beef, the first cousin. Second cousin. What? Third cousin. What am I? What am I? Dog meat here.
A prime cut of brisket.
You might as well call me Ethiopian, Jim. I want the first cousin only, please.
They got Ethiopians too.
Right. Well, that's true. But I'm wondering if the Jews start to evangelize. Like, are we going to see an evangelical movement of Jews in the next little bit?
Well, we already have that. You already have that. You're familiar with the Chabad organization. No. I'm talking about that. You've heard about what they call the Noahide law, where the Chabad organization has created this kind of like second-class Judaism for non-Jews. Basically, the idea is that Jews have to follow the full law, 613 laws, because there's like the priesthood among the nations, whereas the rest of us, we don't have to follow the 613 laws. We just have to follow the laws that were given to Noah when he came off the ark. And so what they do is they craft this, basically it's like second-class synagogues for non-Jews. A lot of them are former evangelical Christians who joined this, renounced Christ, basically, renounced Christianity, but under the tutelage of the Chabad, they joined this kind of Noahide community. There's a word for it. It's it's something about a covenant, I think. But anyway, it's actually a thing. You can look up Noahide law to Chabad and see what it says.
And Noahide laws. Hang on a second here. The
Noahide. Noahide.
No, Noahide, right? Noahide. Noahide law is the seven universal moral and ethical commandments.
And then put Chabad, Chabad. And so
Chabad.
these are
Chabad.
non-Jews who agree to live in second class Judaism for non-Jews. And they're almost all former Christians who basically took Christian Zionism and dispensationalism to the
Yeah,
next
I mean that's just basic.
leaving
That's just Christian
Christianity
Zionism.
altogether. Yeah.
It's Cohen with a K. So resources for non-Jews. Chabad provides educational materials and organizes events to help people understand and observe the laws. So that the Noahide laws are: idolatry, do not worship idols or false gods; blasphemy, do not curse God; murder, do not kill. Basically, it's the 10 Commandments. Theft, do not steal; sexual sins.
Well, in fact, there's a very strong parallel with the decision the apostles made in Acts 15 about what kind of rules would be applied to Gentiles who became Christians. In other words, would they have to become circumcised, follow the Jewish law, et cetera, et cetera? And they decided, no, they don't have to do that.
Here's something interesting. Eating a limb from a living animal. Do not eat any part of a living animal. Veganism. That's part of the Noahide laws.
Well, who does that anyway?
Huh?
Who eats limbs of living animals?
Well, it says that's the commandment here. That's the law, but it says the explanation is do not eat any part of a living animal.
And who does that?
Well, no, but yeah, we all do. I mean, it's just you eat meat. Don't eat meat.
No. They're saying don't. They're saying don't eat at part of an animal while it's living. In other words, you can't eat
okay.
foot off of a live cow or something. I mean, who does that?
Yeah, I mean, I see, I can see that reading of it. I can also just see it like don't eat meat, right? Or any like.
No, I don't think it says that.
No.
I suppose it could apply to. Wait, do they tell them not to eat shellfish because you're eating an oyster that's alive, right?
Do not eat a limb from a living animal, which may includes being cruel to animals.
Yeah, right.
There's a whole big thing. I'm not going to read this on death of a pet.
What? Death of a pet?
No, it's just an article. I'm not going to read that. Let me just read from this. This is harass and okay, wait. This is from Shabbat.org. Okay, so let's get it from the horse's mouth here. 1, do not profane God's oneness in any way. By the way, God is. Okay. I'll put it on the screen.
With a hyphen.
Yeah, with a hyphen. Right. Don't even say it. Acknowledge there is a single Jud who's good, who cares about what we're doing and desires that we take care of His world. 2, do not curse your Creator, no matter how angry you may be. Do not take it out verbally against your Creator. 3, do not murder. The value of human life cannot be measured. To destroy a single human life is to destroy the entire world. Wow. Okay. Apparently, well, unless it's Gaza. It's Gaza's special case. Don't even ask. Number 4, do not eat the limb of a still living animal. So you're right. Respect the life of all Jid's creatures and intelligent beings. We have a duty to not cause to not cause undue pain to other creatures. So I guess this would also extend. I guess you could extend this to animal cruelty of any kind.
Yeah,
so Michael Vick, you can't be Jewish. Sorry. Yeah. Do not steal. Whatever benefits you receive in this world, make sure that none of them are unfair expense of someone else. Oh, so libertarians are going to love this one. 6, harness and channel the human. Sorry, I love this. Harness and channel the human libido. Incest, adultery, and homosexual relations, are forbidden. The family unit is a foundation of human society. Sexuality is the fountain of life. And so nothing is more holy than the sexual act. So too, when abused, nothing can be more debasing and destructive to the human life. So far, I mean, I'm based.
Yeah, but I mean, basically the stuff is not bad stuff. I think the real issue is why a non-Jew, a Christian, would abandon Christ and Christianity for this kind of basically, sort of generic ethical teaching is what it amounts to.
Well, if you want to be in Hollywood, Jim, and you don't want to be, you don't go on a casting couch. I mean, come on. Suddenly, what? A little snip, snip. You say the 7 laws, a little snip, snip. There you go. It's like you're almost there. You could be. Look, you can come to the Shabbat dinner. You still have to, because we need someone to deal with the lights. But it's a nice deal.
That's a good point. Yeah, we don't have to keep the Sabbath, so we could still be Sabbath goyim.
Right?
Yeah,
Shabbos Goyim. It's Shabbos Goyim with perks. With perks, Jim. It's a beautiful thing. Poiks. You can serve the bagel and lox. Don't eat.
There you go.
Please. With the gloves on. Jim, we kept you long enough. Yasha. As you'll be known in Russian. Yasha is the name for Jim. Is because you're like Yakub, but Yasha is for Jim. My fellow Russian spy.
No,
I'm buying you a hat for Christmas, Jim.
I think I'm better off with this.
The Jim Jatras tickle trunk. Jim Jatras wrote this book. I tried to warn you.
Yeah.
Available at all fine booksellers. It's a collection of essays and writings from over the years. I do recommend you pick it up. We will have to do a show delving back into the book, and we'll keep an eye out for that. Any last thoughts, Jim? Any last
words?
Any last words? We might be all being round up next week, so might as well get it out now.
Might as well get it out now. No, the only other thing I would add is that at the same time this Joe Wilson thing came out and these articles, this and that, we also had that big article in the New York Times about just how fast Orthodoxy is growing in this country, and I think it's a very interesting dynamic. At the same time, we have these people trying to split us or put the screws to us or accuse us of all sorts of things. Frankly, I think even those accusations are going to work to our benefit, because so much of, I think, what is feeding the growth of this of the church in this country, and maybe in other countries as well, is the fact that we are kind of, if you will, countercultural with respect to all the people that everybody really hates. And so if all these bad people are after us, hey, that's got to be another feather on our cap that will help attract people.
Yeah, we didn't get to there's also a long litany, right? The spy stuff is the big headlines, but they're basically accusing Orthodoxy of racism, of sexism, anti-Semitism, and all the things.
And it's only partly true.
Oh yeah, I mean, make us sexier. It's nicer.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I mean, it's we're based. I mean, and of course, people take that out of context too and say, okay, like we're some kind of a political cult or something, which we're not. And but anyway, it's hey, we live in fun times.
Yeah, if you want to get free of ideology completely, you want to break that liberal frame, go to liturgy, talk to a priest.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I keep telling people: return, repent, rebuild.
Return,
ladies and gentlemen, return, repent, rebuild. Become the prodigal son or daughter. It's an inclusive term. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames, messieurs. Oh, let's just before you go, Jim, let's read out some super chats. People have been super generous. Super. We've had lots of people watching. Like, subscribe, and share the stream.
Hyper chats.
$10 from Kenneth Wells for the goal, and then Dawn Browning went crazy here. She gave 1, 2, 3.
I love 3.
Dawn's amazing. A hat trick of 3 $10 super chats. Thank you so much, Dawn. Another $10 for Kenneth for Dawn's hat trick. Harry sent in $5, saying the Brookfield Asset Management. Actually, I should put these on the screen, shouldn't I? There we go. 1, 2, 3 from Dawn. So
wow.
Nice. We got another 5 memberships gifted by Harry. Thank you so much, Harry. Gorilla Biscuit, you got gifted a membership. I thought you were a member already. And then, or Gorilla Biscuit also gifted some memberships. And then Kenneth again with a big $10, and leave your phone at home. Leave your phone in the car when you confess. So, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames and messieurs, brothers and sisters, comrades, fellow journeymen, I am Jason Marinchuk. And it's later than you think.